Hi, I'm Raina.
And I'm Drew.
And we are Instant Movie Reviews here on YouTube, where we give you movie reviews and our first reactions as soon as we come out of the theater. Literally, like unfiltered, right out of the theater.
We are sitting in the parking lot about to go into our movie right now as we speak.
And what are we seeing, Drew?
We are seeing the Thursday preview screening of Shelby Oaks. This is an indie... Is it indie? Because Mike Flanagan's producing it, but I still think it's indie. Anyway, it's by a YouTuber, so he has a long-standing movie review channel like ours. I think he was sort of one of the first people who did it, and he's managed to make his first horror movie. So he got like Neon on board and Mike Flanagan on board, and like he's actually made it happen.
You know it's going to be good if Mike Flanagan's involved. For any viewer who maybe doesn't recognize the name, he did Life with Chuck, which we recently reviewed, but he did one of my all-time favorite TV series of all time, The Haunting of Hill House.
And Bly Manor and Midnight Mass and all these like Hush, Oculus.
He doesn't miss. And I love this trend of YouTubers turning into horror film creators, because we had Bring Her Back this year, which was one of my favorite as well, from the Philippou brothers.
Yeah, and they started with Talk to Me and completely exploded out of the gate. So they really set a high standard. I don't really envy Chris Stuckmann that he has Bring Her Back and Talk to Me as his predecessors in this sort of realm.
We're meeting our friend Ange, who also always has great opinions and thoughts on films, but she's not interested in being in the videos, which is a shame.
We'll get her there.
It's a shame because, Ange, we love listening to your thoughts. You always bring great perspectives to it. So we're not going to take too long in this intro, but I did want you to maybe give just a little overview of what you think the movie's about based on the trailer.
Yeah, so it looks kind of like inspired by Blair Witch Project. So it's about a documentary paranormal crew that goes missing, and but it's not entirely fan footage like the Blair Witch Project. It does have like switch to a more standard like third person, you're watching the action. But one of the people who disappears, her sister gets a tape, and it basically guides her to the town of Shelby Oaks, and that's essentially all that I know about this.
The thing I love about this is it's the name of the place where they're going, which makes me think Silent Hill all the time. And some of the imagery in the trailer actually made me think of Silent Hill. So I was wondering if there was just maybe some like little Easter eggs, like maybe they're fans of the Silent Hill franchise.
Oh, I'll be on the lookout for that.
You know, it just, I mean, I'm very new to the franchise and I still picked it up. Film this or cut all this out so that you're hearing the horn honking. I don't know why they're doing it in a parking lot of a movie theater, but there we go. We're going to head in. Let's get some popcorn, get our drinks, meet up with Ange, and I'm very excited to see Shelby Oaks.
We'll see you in a second.
Okay. Well, YouTubers making movies is like a thing now. This is wild. So the first thing I'm going to say is the film as a whole, the beginning has this very specific style, and it reminded us of like Unsolved Mysteries, Forensic Files. It seemed like Netflix was coming in to make one of these kind of true crime documentaries that you see everywhere, but a little bit more mysterious. And then halfway through, kind of not necessarily a tonal shift, but it just doesn't keep the same format. And for me, like, it was okay, but the first half was the strength, and I wanted more of how the first half was made.
Yeah, so without spoiling anything, at the beginning, it's almost presented, as you said, like an episode of Unsolved Mysteries, especially the newer Netflix revival of it. Very high production quality. You're introduced to a whole bunch of people who are like commenting on this case. You're getting the backstory. That part, I was just like, okay, I am into this.
Yeah, and it's showing like the found footage and everything. And to me, the first half, I had to remind myself this is a work of fiction, even though it feels like a documentary that I would watch on Netflix.
Yeah.
Like, it's a work of fiction.
And even once it switches from the documentary style to a more traditional, like the camera is in the scene and with the characters, and it's not just her talking to the documentary, but it's a standard, actually quite good. But then I had read online that the third act is weak, and they're dead on. The third act is when things just get more generic.
Yeah, I'd say the second act was kind of like, okay, like, I like this, not a fan of that, but I really like this, and that just feels generic. But I still thought that it had hope, because often the middle act is like, you know, middle acts can be weak leading up to the big finale, right?
Yeah.
But then as we started like sliding into act 3, I was like, this is feeling campy, and it's feeling generic, and it's feeling just like tropey.
With things we've seen before, which is a shame because it really felt like it was building towards something that was going to be different. And again, I don't mind something, based on tropes that we know about as long as it's executed well. I don't think there was anything revolutionary about the Black Phone 2, but it was just scarier and more engaging and just more enjoyable.
This generation, so like the young generation, the teenagers right now, they haven't had a good found footage horror movie. We've all, so like Blair Witch was late 90s, right? 1999?
1999,
yeah. So that was late 90s, and we were a bit young for that, right? So we would have been like 13, 14. So like our parents, that would have been like that was the first thing that kind of started off this found footage thing.
Yeah, my sister was super into the Blair Witch, and I got super into the Blair Witch as well when I finally saw it. I know a lot of people say that movie's boring and nothing happens and you don't see anything, but for me, the not seeing things actually made it scarier.
Yeah.
The parts of this movie where you see what is happening, and I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not even going to use it.
But it took away from it?
It did.
The scariest parts of the movie were where you're looking for things in the background, or something's just out of view, or the anticipation. Those are the scary things. And then the things that are trying to be scary, that are, the jump scares, which always get me, not even because they're jump scares, it's often the sound is what gets me.
It's a startle response.
It's a startle response.
But I will say the very first jump scare, and the one I'm talking about, I was like, oh, that was good. That was really good. It
set us up for an expectation, because the first jump scare, I loved it so much that my brain was like, oh, this is great. We're going Haunted Hill House style. Like, I was so on board. And then I was like, oh. And then one jump scare got me, and I looked at my friend and I was like, I'm embarrassed that jump scare got me. But so, you have to understand, like, the found footage genre, like, it did become oversaturated, and I feel like it's due for a renaissance. And we've kind of seen, there was a brief uptick when we saw the films, and you didn't end up seeing them, I don't think, but Missing and Searching, and they all took place.
Right. Well, but we did see Unfriended Dark Web, which we quite enjoyed.
So, and when the Unfriended franchise first came out, like, that was kind of revolutionary at the time. So I was kind of hoping this was going to be that, because you know what? When you think about it on paper, the idea of, like, let's make it like they're making a Netflix true crime documentary, and like like the crew is following her around while she's trying to solve the mystery of her sister's disappearance, and maybe there's paranormal, maybe there's not, maybe it's just a murderer, like, who knows,
maybe it's a hoax.
Yeah, maybe
like there were so many other versions of that story, and I feel weirdly guilty criticizing it, and I don't think that we should, because just because Chris Stuckmann started as a YouTuber and managed to make a film, I mean, it's a huge accomplishment for him to have done this, but we still can't give him a free pass just because he had an unusual entry into filmmaking. And as I said in the intro, the Philippou brothers came out of the gate swinging with Talk to Me, which was so much better than I expected, and then Bring Her Back, which was brilliant. It's too bad that more people didn't go to see that. It's like, no, like,
they set the bar really high.
They set the bar really high, but even if they hadn't set the bar really high, there's just, I was saying to Ange walking out of the theater instantly, like, I would have improved it by doing this. I would have improved it by doing this. And I feel kind of bad, because you can tell it was a passion project for him. Chris Stuckmann, you're not going to be watching this, but we did like your direction.
Yeah, we liked it. I think you have a great career as a director. I think you have good ideas. I thought the editing was extremely well done as well. I kept thinking to myself, like, man, that's a really good editor. Also, you could tell there were aspects of YouTube that make it into the film, because it does, the main character who's missing, she's a YouTuber in the beginning. And so it is really good, I think, as a filmmaker, as a storyteller, to lean into what you know. For instance, Frida McFadden is this thriller author that is blowing up right now. She's got the film coming out, The Housemaid.
That looks so good.
So she has a lot of medical thriller books, because she is literally a family doctor by day. And so that's her pseudonym, is Frida McFadden. And when she appears on camera, she wears a wig and glasses, because she doesn't want people to know who she is as a doctor. She wants to keep being a doctor, right? But what's so interesting is that her work is so believable and so stressful when you're reading those thriller things, because she has that background, and it's very authentic. And I think that he brought that authenticity to the filmmaking aspect of it, having a documentary crew, showing the early life of the internet and YouTube and stuff like that. but then it kind of got abandoned like
Yeah.
halfway through, and I really feel he should have just leaned into it, because for me it started to feel like a video game halfway through.
And yeah, it definitely did. And again, like, the main character makes some choices that don't make any sense. Even just in terms of like the timing of when she decides to do anything. And again, this is not a spoiler. She does stuff alone at night that I'm like, girl, wait until the daytime. Like,
Yeah,
you
it was
don't need
very
to do it this second.
tropey.
Yeah.
The second half was very tropey. Also, I found the first half did so much lore building, like very interesting lore. I was like, geesh, you could write a book or something. Like, you could have all this, and like my brain, it was so stimulated in the beginning, because I was like, there's so much possibility. And then, like, let's not go with any of that possibility. Let's find the tropiest trope we can trope by the end. And the big reveal is not even a big reveal by the end. You kind of just roll in your eyes.
I'm just kind of like, oh, that's what we're doing. And the kind of the same thing happened at Hereditary. I like so much of Hereditary, and then I'm like, oh, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. And it's like building this mystery the whole time, and you want, like, you're craving like satisfactory, like, resolution to the mystery, and it just felt like a lazy answer to the mystery.
But to give it credit where credit is due, I almost feel like it's a victim of its own pre-release success. You know what I mean? Big Kickstarter, huge fundraiser. I think it's the most successful Kickstarter funded movie.
Good for them.
He managed to get Mike Flanagan on board as a producer. He got Neon on board.
Really good actors in it too. The guy who voices Spawn, he's in it. Keith Davids, he's in it as a side character, and I freaking love him. And as soon as I heard his voice, we didn't even see his face yet.
He made a sound out loud in the theater.
Like his iconic voice. I was like, dang. And the other officer, the other police officer, he's a well-known actor too. Now I think he does more on TV than he does in movies, but still, like,
I can't say that I would recognize Mia, the main character, or the girl who played Raleigh, but they both did really good. Like, I will say the acting in this was good. There was one performer who was a little hammier than I would have liked. I would have liked that open played a little straighter. Again, it's just that tonal shift just didn't really quite land with me, and the movie ends up, I walk out of it feeling like it was more generic than it actually was, because that first half is quite strong. So yeah, I'm disappointed, but like mildly positive disappointed.
Yeah, I don't feel disappointed the way I did with 28 Years Later. Like, 28 Years Later had so much buzz, and it's a very divisive movie. The people who love it, and all the power to you.
I give it 2 floppy giant zombie penises down.
Yeah, the people who love it, and the people who dislike it really dislike it. It's very divisive, and I wonder if Shelby Oaks is going to be the same. I feel like average moviegoers who maybe don't see a lot of horror might enjoy it. I kind of found this way about Weapons, right? I didn't think Weapons was that revolutionary. I did enjoy it, but I didn't think it was that revolutionary, and I think it could have benefited from some better editing and different aspects of the story being more fleshed out. I did like the twist in it. I thought it was interesting. It was more interesting than this twist. Like,
and Gladys was a memorable character.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Like, the twist in it was better than this twist, right? Like, you had an actual villain.
And I kind of thought as we were getting to the third act, I was like, okay, I can kind of see where this is going, but maybe then they're going to pull the rug out from under us and do something really surprising at the end. And then the ending happened, and I was like, oh, that played out exactly how I thought it might play out.
I feel like they really had done all this building that they could have given us a real twist at the end to really, really make it interesting, or even make it seem like everything was going to be okay and then wasn't. And I don't know, it fell into so many tropes. How would you rate it?
So I'm struggling so Anne said that she would give it like a 5, and that feels a little low, but not crazy low. So I'm like a 5.5 to maybe a 6, just because it was competently made. There were things that I enjoyed about it. And again, I feel like I want to try to judge it for what it was more so than for what we wanted it to be. I think it's hurt by its own pre-release success. Yeah, what about you?
The first half for me was so good that while we were watching it, I was like, this is going to be one of my top 10 movies. I can just tell. And then, by the end, I was like, well, that was fun. Yeah, it was fun.
I wasn't bored.
I wasn't bored. It was a nice night out. It was fun to be with my 3 friends. There's been a few movies we've come out of where I'm like, oh, that was a waste of time. Like, I really felt like Until Dawn was a waste of time, other than the fact it was nice to get out, being a mom. So for me, it's about a 6, and I'm only giving it a 6 because the first half was so strong. And even though I didn't like the second half, there were aspects of it I liked. I really liked the special effects. I really liked the editing. You'll see that throughout the film, there's this consistent special effect they apply to some of the characters' eyes. I really liked that. I thought it was really well done and subtle. I liked some of the background stuff, which felt very signature Mike Flanagan to me. I thought the score was really good, not necessarily the music, but just the way the score was done. There's a character who I mean, they could have done so much more with this character, but I found them kind of like a funny, interesting character in the beginning. I liked their introduction. I thought that was good. Yeah, and like there were little things about the second half I liked, so it's not like I hated it.
No.
I just was like, oh, okay. Well, I've seen this movie 1,000 times, and you started out so unique. So it's getting, I'm giving it a 6, and I feel like that's generous. But I do think the guy has potential.
And not just Chris Stuckmann himself, but like, I like the setting of the town of Shelby Oaks. I could have used a little bit more.
I wanted lore. I wanted lore. Like, you could do a sequel of Shelby Oaks and do this again right. I don't know. Like, take these ideas and run with them because it's a cool setting. And you could have like these individual one-offs similar to Silent Hill where it takes place with Shelby Oaks, right? Or shows a prequel of Shelby Oaks because they give you this lore of how this town ended up abandoned, and they talk about this fire and like crops dying, and I'm like, oh, I want more of that. Like, tell me the origin of Shelby Oaks. Like,
so yeah, I feel like, and again, not every film that turns into a franchise starts out strong. The first Annabelle, quite weak, but then Annabelle Creation and Annabelle Comes Home were surprisingly good. So maybe something will grow out of this seed that is better than this.
Yeah.
And we'll look back and be grateful that this existed because of what we got later, whether it's a new installment in like the franchise or something from Chris Stuckmann that like improves in every way.
I think he has room to grow. And I think the problem when people's premiere project does extremely well is that it's like trying to capture lightning in a bottle twice, and it just doesn't work twice for many people. M. Night Shyamalan, he does so well with his first couple films, and then he just cannot seem to get them together, and get back up there again. And then there's other people that just they again, lightning in a bottle for the very first film, and everyone's anticipating the second one. And you're like, oh, like I feel like that's what happened with 28 Days Later, and then when we get to 28 years later, like it just felt like you can't really recapture it.
Yeah.
So I think he has room to grow, which is a good thing because there's obviously a lot of potential there. He seems to have a lot of support on YouTube. We've seen a lot of really positive reviews from his fellow. We've seen so many positive reviews that it's almost a little suspicious. I will say that. It does kind of seem like there might be a little bit of drama going on behind the scenes. We're not very big into the actual like online critic world. We do this for fun. We're not making money from it.
No, I actually follow a lot of these channels.
I mean, you follow the channels, but I mean, we're not involved in the drama. Like we're not talking to these other people and stuff. We're not in the community. We just do this for fun, and maybe one day we'll be in that kind of a community making money. And for those people, like, I get it, it's their jobs, they're trying to
also, they're friends with him. It's hard to be objective when if you made a movie and I watched it, I would go in predisposed to like it maybe more than the general public. So I don't think it's necessarily suspicion. I think it's just opinion might be tainted a little bit by the personal association that some of these reviewers have with him.
Yeah, I mean, he just seems to be connected to so many people because there's just so many people out there praising it. So it can maybe put your expectations high. I think it's worth a watch. I'm really curious, especially from those people who do really spend a lot of time watching horror movies, or necessarily if you're a person who watches a lot of film critics on YouTube. I think both ends of that spectrum could get something good out of it, and I just would be very interested in hearing different people's opinions on it and see what they like. So.
But that's our review of Shelby Oaks. And if you like this video, give it a like. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please give us a subscription. And if the hype function has shown up for you, I'm told it's a real thing. I don't think it's a mass delusion. But if you have free hypes, use your free hypes on the channel. It would really help us get some visibility. And yeah, a bit of a letdown, but we were just pleasantly surprised by Black Phone 2, so there's room for all kinds of movies on this channel.
I'm surprised Black Phone 2 isn't all over the internet right now. Like, it's breaking its own records, and I'm just surprised more people aren't talking about it. We got any other movies coming up soon we're going to see? What's coming out in the next few months that we want to see?
So we want to see Avatar 3, obviously, when that comes out. We wanted to see Good Boy, but it didn't come out in theaters near us. We want to check out Frankenstein before it goes just straight to Netflix, but I looked at the runtime. It's very long. So we might try to do that next week, but I'm not sure that we're going to...
Scheduling might be difficult. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, there's like lots of little side movies that if I could fit in, I would like to. Ange and I are really interested in Die My Love. I'm really interested in this Brendan Fraser one where he is hired to be a kid's dad in Japan or something. Like, I just love Brendan Fraser, and I really enjoyed his little renaissance he's happening. I'm interested in those. And there's Housemaid, of course. I can't wait to see Housemaid. The book. Did you read the book?
No.
Oh my god!
So I'll be going in without any expectations or having
such a stressful book.
Don't spoil anything for me because I'm not going to read it.
I won't, but the author has sung its praise and says that it's like her vision.
Awesome.
So that makes me happy.
Awesome.
So Housemaid for sure. But yeah, that's us, and we thank you so much for checking us out. Leave a comment. Let us know what you're thinking. Are you going to go see Shelby Oaks? Do you watch these kind of movies at all? Because we seem to end up doing a lot of horror and thriller. That's just what happens. So. Anyway, we'll see you at the movies.